Okay,
We're live.
we're recording. Hey guys, Shad Johnson here. I'm with Steve. Steve, I honestly feel like I've messed up your last name my whole life.
Me too.
Is it just
That's why I just go by Poorboy Steve.
how do you say your last name?
Inge. It's like
Okay,
hinge without the H.
okay, no, I've been saying it right then. I was literally looking at my notes this morning and I was like, you know where you because I mean we've known each other kind of on and off for a long time, but you where you're like, I feel like I say this name wrong all the time. So,
Well, technically, my first name is Aubrey. That's a family name.
oh really?
So I get Audrey Ingle, and so yeah, I think a product of art school. I just switched it up to Steve, and
Well,
that's
Steve,
what
it
I was.
is. Steve, it is. Well, thank you for jumping on with me. Just trying to get these rolling, and I feel like, you've kind of been everywhere in the last 2 years. Like with just a lot of things that I follow and look at. Like I see you pop up everywhere, and I mean, and I feel like I've kind of followed along with your journey since the early '90s. Because I'm a product of late '80s, early '90s BMX, and you had a big hand in all that stuff. So you live in the Midwest now, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're originally from Texas, right?
My dad was Army, so we went everywhere.
Okay.
But probably when my whole BMX world
Yeah.
started was Texas.
And that's like the
And
El Paso area?
well, I was riding in El Paso. My dad was always stationed in El Paso, but Fort Worth is where I went to college.
Okay.
And then that just led to the whole DFW scene, which led to connecting to the Austin scene when all of that was kind of starting to turn into something.
Yeah.
And then, so I was right smack dab between OKC and Austin. So on any given weekend, it was 3 hours north or south to hang out with guys.
And the scenes were just popping at that time.
They were getting going, kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything was around, 89, 90 when everything kind of went to sleep and then popped back. But
Yeah.
I went to college in 89 and then it kind of just grew out of that.
Yeah. So with your dad traveling around being in the military, I feel like was that just like a hard way to kind of get into BMX, jumping around? How did you get attracted to BMX there starting out?
Yeah, it was yes and no. It's actually probably what got me in BMX.
Okay.
Another guy named Steve we were moving back to El Paso, and our realtor had a son named Steve.
Steve
And
Ornelius?
no, Steve White.
Okay.
And he
Wrong
rode,
Steve.
yeah, he rode BMX.
Okay.
And got me into it. So we started racing and everything, and racing's too much like a regular sport, I guess, to me.
I can see that, yeah.
So I was always freestyling around the parking lot, and so it just let it. But he's the one he got me into it, and I think he still rides road bikes and does stuff. But
Nice. About what year was that, do you think?
80. Ooh.
Not trying
Four?
not trying to date you.
Nah, I have no problem with being dated. 83, 84.
Okay, yeah, so freestyle was just starting to kick off pretty hard then.
Yeah. No, it was like 80, well, maybe 82. Early 80s.
Yeah.
Because I started BMXing before Freestyling Magazine came out. And I remember Freestyling Magazine coming out.
Which was a big deal.
Yeah, but all around there. And then I moved away. My dad got stationed. We moved away overseas for 2 years.
Oh, wow. And did you keep riding overseas?
Middle of high school, yeah. But I rode pretty much by myself, or I rode with a lot of skateboarders.
Yeah.
And so I've always had a love for skateboarding, and I wish I could skate. I can't skate.
I mean, I think a lot of dudes that grew up riding in the 80s, like, both of those subcultures were so small. And
We just rode with,
you
yeah,
just
you just rode.
everybody was just like-minded. It was strange for me, like when I graduated high school, because I grew up skating, riding. My brother was a skateboarder, and when I moved to Eugene, Oregon, thinking I was going to go to college, and I just rode bikes. But there's this little cement park. And I remember going there, and I was just like, "Oh, there's skateboarders, this," and I start riding, and then dudes are vibing me, and I was so confused because I was from such a small town. and I was like, whoa, 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 we're all on the same crew here. Like, what? I was so
Yeah.
confused.
I
And I
think
think,
all of the places. I think all the places I was, there wasn't. It wasn't a huge thing in
yeah,
El Paso. Maybe when you'd go to like a big skate event.
yeah,
Like I remember when there was a big skate shop that would do demos, and sometimes, but in terms of my local crew,
yeah,
I mean that's for me that is where street riding was born. Was all of us hanging out with the skaters,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and we just started doing the same things, and so it wasn't strange to go meet up at a flat spot and have carried my skateboard the whole way there.
yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, my rig always had both, and I mean, I think if you did grow up riding at all in the '80s, most dudes had a skateboard.
yeah,
You'd see skateboarding in the BMX magazine, so you're just like, we're doing
Yeah.
this.
and I knew all the guys I knew that had a ramp. I think all were skaters.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so then you're over in Europe and still riding, and then you guys pop back to the States after a while.
yeah, my dad hated it.
Okay.
I probably would have gone to university there or done something,
Yeah.
but I came back because we were coming back to El Paso. He had a chance to come back,
Okay.
so I thought, oh, I'll come back and hang out. And it was all different.
Yeah.
But still met a bunch of BMX. I got back into being with BMXers and
Yeah.
skaters, and I mean, we were talking about this the other night. I was just friends with so many people. I mean, probably predominantly bike, skate, and punk rock.
Yeah.
But I knew Crips and Bloods, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just everyone doing everything.
Yeah. I mean, when you're riding bikes, I mean, it's weird how the bike will take you to, certain little
Yeah.
avenues and stuff that most, when I say normal people, but yeah, most normal people just aren't presented on a daily basis, to where you're just pedaling your bike around, running into dudes, and
You were just always somewhere doing something, and sometimes you were getting chased, sometimes you were just having a good time.
yeah,
But it was, I think you were always just kind of sort of an outcast.
yeah,
And even when, if you'd been doing it, like if you were before it was Mountain Dew commercials
yeah, yeah,
and post, it was always kind of, you were just outcast hanging with outcasts.
I mean, that's how I felt growing up. You were just, everybody in my town thought I was the kid that smoked cigarettes and drank beer a bunch because, I had
Yeah.
long hair and we all just looked like that, but we were just really into just riding bikes. We really didn't do anything. But we
Yeah.
were definitely outcasts, and, people thought we were strange.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude,
Oh,
I'm just
totally.
focused on what I'm into. Like,
Yeah, I just rode my bike and did goofy art stuff.
so have you been like into art and drawing since you were younger and stuff?
Yeah, I always loved, I mean, like I have an affinity for vintage toys because I always had an affinity I was that kid who just probably was at home most of the time playing with his toys.
Yeah, me, yeah.
But I'd make things for my toys.
Okay.
I'd make my own play sets and and I was always doodling, and I loved Walt Disney as an artist, and I loved Charles Schultz,
Yep, yep.
Snoopy. Just loved it, and my mom encouraged it a lot. So I think I just in school drawing, and always took an art class, and always just doodled. And then in high school, I did zines, I did little stuff for bands, and I did a lot of flyers for shows, and I remember one of our punk rock clubs, I did a mural,
Yeah.
and
So it's just been rolling with hand in hand, like bikes, and it just,
yeah,
everything's been like coexisting together through your life.
yeah. So when Freestyle Magazine came out,
Yeah.
life changing.
Okay.
Because later I'd find out these dudes who were like maybe a couple years older than me.
Yeah, didn't everybody feel like they were like,
Yeah.
for real? Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird when you realize you're like, oh, everybody's like, I mean, they're closer to your age, but even when you're like, they're only like 8 years older than me or 6 years older than me, it blew my mind.
Yeah, it was like, you were 2 years removed from me. I'm still in school, and you've moved to California and are living the dream.
Yeah.
and you're just like, what? But that seeing that magazine, and back then BMX had a lot of art in it. You know,
Yeah.
there was a lot of drawing. Skateboarding was a lot of illustration, and so I would just sit and pour through the pages and copy stuff and draw stuff, and so it was that to me was, I think, the first validation, or first this could all of who I am could actually be something.
It could all work out in your favor.
It could all, there is a place where it comes together.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge encouragement for me. So, you know, guys like what Lou was doing, and Andy Jenkins was, Bob Harrow for sure, but Andy was the one that sealed the deal for me.
When I look back on that, I was always more into, like, I drew a ton when I was little, and I actually regret kind of like in high school, I just kind of stopped drawing. I actually was digging through stuff and found old drawings of mine, and I was like, I kind of bummed on myself for it, but I was always into photography, and I really looked up like Spike Jones, and I looked up all the Wizard guys, and then when we'd look at the magazines, the drawings, even the reader drawings, were so good. The ones I always gravitated to, which was weird because we became friends later on, it was Greg Higgins. There's one issue called the Soul issue of Go, and it's a little bit further on, but it's got a bunch of illustrations of his, and I remember trying to like copy them and trace them just because the way he was drawing looked so new to me.
Yeah, he was like, I thought like Andy was like the next Bob.
Yeah.
And Greg was probably the next Andy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm a fanboy of theirs, and I was jealous. And
I mean,
I
it's crazy when you look back. It's just like, people talk about, and rightfully so, people talk about like skateboard art and everything. But then you look at you're like, so much of that is still linked in with BMX, like Andy Jenkins, Mark McKee, and it's just, I would like to, I don't know, I think I kind of do the same thing as you. You'll just start going down wormholes, like finding all this stuff and wanting more and wishing there was more out there.
Skateboarding probably always had a little bit stronger art.
Yeah. And they had art coming from other places like Pusshead and stuff,
Yeah, there was just more. So I think it was natural for guys like Andy and Spike to move in that direction.
Yeah.
It's always been, it's like, even to this day, skateboarding is much more embracing of the arts than bikes.
Yeah, and it's an easier platform to put art on, too.
Yeah. You're doing decks, you're doing stuff, but just in general, they're doing art shows, and they're doing, it's just part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Surf, I would say surf and skate.
And you do see it in BMX, but BMX, which I think for a plus and sometimes for a negative, we are pulling still from motocross. So we've got that dirty 70s, which I love 70s BMX stuff, just going back and looking at. But we've got like there's a little more sometimes redneck on the bike side,
It's a little more blue collar redneck. It's a little more design. It leans more towards design than illustration.
And more mechanical, you're figuring projects out and stuff. And it's way easier to do a skate graphic than it is to figure out how this fits on a frame. Yeah, for sure.
It
is kind of crazy though when you think about some BMX frame graphics. Like nowadays it feels like there's graphics, and it felt like in the 90s they just disappeared, and then you go back to the 80s and look at it, and you actually start looking at some of the frames, and you're like, these are really detailed graphics on these bikes,
Well, yeah, how they stickered, you'd have, it would match up across tubes, and it would
match colors with paint changing.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it was, and considering the technology they had and everything, it was wild.
What's really quick, and then we'll keep moving. What's your favorite BMX graphic that you came across? And what's something that you always gravitate towards?
Oh man, like a company graphics?
Yeah, just this, like you think of a frame, there's that one graphic that pops out.
1985 Haro Master.
Okay, I kind of felt like you were gonna say that, but that's an iconic one.
Yeah, it was just It was Bob on a frame. I mean, it just
kind
came
of is
together.
Bob on a frame.
It just came together and was very clean and lime green, and there was just something about that whole '85 line that.
Yeah.
But that, I think that's very much connected to my love of his art.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you said, I can't, like, one of the first things, if I go towards BMX and art, it would be stuff like the BMX Action yearly drawing contest.
Yeah.
That jumps out at me as much as anything else.
Yeah, I get it.
So any graphics come out of that would be, I mean, it was a lot of logos. It was a lot of, things like that.
Logos are hard to draw.
Jive, Club Homeboy, when it
Yeah.
kind of was not just a bike.
Yeah, when
That
that's kind of the era when everybody was just talking about soul, trying to, that's the dead area of BMX, and everybody's just speaking about riding, just having soul in your riding, just keeping it for you.
S&M has always been, I mean, I think they've been probably the most progressive in terms of putting onto bikes what is popular, not just in, I mean, and they led the way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I just wanted to ask you that one before, we get too far, and I just kind of.
Yeah, no, I think just in terms of it's early to mid 80s, BMX is probably ingrained, and then you get into all the, when I became part of things.
Yeah.
So you have like stages of that.
Yeah, and that's the stage where I feel like everything got small. Everybody wanted just like black bikes or this, like and
raw.
You're just like looking for you're like, what is this thing?
Well, that's when we did, I mean, that was partly when I had started Mutiny Bikes. I mean, I went back. I mean, we were doing neon green, pink. I mean, I did nods to all of my favorite stuff before it was.
It's strange to me because I didn't get to see as much Mutiny stuff up here, because especially at that time, I feel like the country was kind of divided into like, these smaller companies, and it was kind of a regional warfare.
There was an East Coast, West Coast, Austin, and then maybe there was some like, I think it's funny that I moved to Indiana about the time everybody left Indiana and went to Austin.
Oh yeah, you kind of did, didn't you?
So I'm like, oh.
So you like sometimes people would show up and you'd be like, "Whoa, I've never even seen this bike before," like.
Yeah. I think S&M was everywhere.
S&M was everywhere, and Standard for a while was everywhere.
Standard tried, like, it was probably the next one that was going to maybe do that.
Yeah. I mean, when Standard hit, it was crazy back in the day when they dropped everything. Kind of going back to, you're finishing school, you're going to art school. I mean, this is why I do these interviews. I want to know more about BMX. All I really can do is go from that to like, my first knowing about you is like Sandbox Distribution and kind of being involved with King Bikes with Stuart King. And I don't even know how that collaborated or even how far apart that is from where we're talking,
Yeah, that would have been early, mid 90s.
Yeah, I mean, probably like 94. I mean, 94 for sure there was King because I remember buying the little washer things.
Man, it's so trying to like pinpoint dates and periods, and
were you still
all so much of a blur.
Where were you living when all that started rolling out?
Texas. Yeah,
you were in Texas?
I went to school in DFW. Stayed in DFW. Always so much in Austin that we considered moving down to Austin, but it was like everything was blowing up and it was crazy expensive, So I thought I was close enough to Austin that I could get there and not have to go spend $500,000 on a house. I should have. I probably would have.
Yeah.
But I think so we were in DFW until early 2000s.
Okay. So
then I left for Missouri.
Oh, you did live in you've been all over.
Yeah.
Well, how did you go from like just doing art and just being a rider to where you feel like you wanted to put your feet in the industry?
I rode my bike and drew, and then I started, I did some things for other guys, like just little things.
Yeah.
Got to know the homeless guys, got to know the Austin guys. And I think me and a couple other guys like did a couple random t-shirt,
But it wasn't
things.
Poor Boy yet then.
No. And then that turned into like, it was just, I mean, you know how working with clients and stuff is, and it's always just weird. And so I was like, I should just do my own thing. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I took a couple of designs and threw them on a shirt. I did a couple when I was in school, like I screen printed a couple things when I was in college.
Yeah.
But college was always like, it just didn't, I dropped out after a semester, then I went back, and then I went through all of my art stuff, and and then when it got down to like the core stuff, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then,
So you didn't even finish college.
no,
Yeah.
no. And then I got offered a job at I was at a ski shop,
Okay.
Texas ski shop.
That's weird.
Yeah. It is the biggest winter sport in Texas is skiing.
Do people ski?
There is no skiing in Texas. That's why Colorado hates Texas, because everybody goes there to
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
ski.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so I did that, and then that guy. But then I had started doing more and more of my own stuff, and then it got to be where I was like every weekend I was gone for BMX.
Yeah.
And finally, I came home we had rented a house where I could have a little space, and maybe even going to do, put in a little shop or something like that. And I came back from a weekend trip and found out I didn't have a job. And my assistant manager had basically gotten me pushed out.
Okay.
But the owner called and he goes, "Hey, I've been where you are, and you were never going to leave the nest unless I pushed you out."
Really?
And so he's like, "Yeah, you got screwed by your assistant manager. Hope you learned that lesson. And if you ever need a job, come let me know." And I just took off.
Yeah.
Just said, I'm going to do this.
And then is that just then you started doing like Poor Boy and that rolled into Sandbox or?
Well, that's what I had started doing. Poorboy. I was like, had a little second bedroom in our apartment, and I was hand sewing all my pad sets. I was screen printing probably like all my one color stuff I was doing there by myself. And then I started just kind of figuring that out. I started working part-time at the screen printer who was doing my stuff. And so then I could use their equipment to do my other stuff.
Yep.
And then eventually they would do all my stuff for me.
And were you just selling it like at contests and jams then, or were you trying to?
Yeah,
Or were
I
you
think
dropping it off at Trend then, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was just living in my car, literally living. The Poor Boy was my nickname
Okay.
because I was living in my car and on people's couches,
Yeah.
and I was doing like a lot of stuff for bands, local bands in the DFW area, and people started calling me Poor Boy, and so then when I was like, what would I put on? What would I call it? I was like, I'll just call it Poor Boy.
Yeah.
And some of the initial shirts were even some of the kind of based or more around like band flyers, like they were like Xerox kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I was like started bringing a little more BMX into it, and then I started I would take it and I would be in charge of like a band's merch, but I'd put a couple of my shirts out, try and make some food money. And then I'd go down to Austin and do a contest, or
Yeah.
I'd hit up the guys. I think it was when I branched out into when I started. Some guys were like, "You should go to the track," and I went to the racetrack, and you had more people, and you
Yeah.
had parents with some money, and and then that kind of helped even things out a little bit for me.
Yeah. The track.
But
You go to the track and you have something track orientated.
Yeah.
People underestimate going to the track.
Yeah. I mean, racing kept freestyle alive for me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But you know, and I don't remember all of it. I just remember I was somewhere with a bike and with a tub of my stuff at any given moment.
Yeah.
You know, we'd meet to ride downtown on a middle of the week night in Fort Worth, and somebody would go, "Hey, you got one of your shirts?" And you know, shout out and thanks to anybody who ever, you know, helped me survive that way.
I mean, I have a couple Poorboy shirts. I'm not gonna, there's a pile of shirts right here
Yeah.
that I got to put up, but I probably got some not early but mid '90s Poorboy shirts.
Yeah. And then and then so like my wife, you know, we weren't married, but you know, I worked a couple jobs and she worked her thing, and we just kind of made ends meet. And then eventually it started getting busier, and she'd help me at night. And then one day we were just like, let's just try,
Yeah.
you know. And so then she started, you know, taking some phone calls and packing stuff up. And I mean, it was very meager. And then the early 90s turned into the mid 90s, and everything blew up again.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know what to do. It was just kind of crazy. But
So you're doing the Poorboy, and that just kind of rolled into Sandbox. Who all did Sandbox carry at the time? You guys were doing Poorboy.
yeah, well, we did Poorboy, and then I had lots of friends who were trying to get going. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew, you know, Crandall was getting going, and Derek was getting going, and so I'd go to events or Stu. I remember I met Stu Johnson Scum Clothing at a race in Arkansas, I think.
Okay.
And they showed up. They had a couple of his Green Day riff shirts, and I was like, throw them on the table. You know, I want to help. I mean, I've been there, done that. I know what you're going through. I was able to pay my rent this month. Let me help you pay yours.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was like, well, what if I could help get those guys in a store? What if they, you know, because a lot of those guys wanted to go film, wanted to go ride, wanted to go. They didn't want that part of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But I found myself. It's like with riding. I mean, you had to come to grips with, okay, the most I'll ever be is maybe an expert rider.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, I love this, and I think I'm creative on this side, and I think I have a good eye for things. I think more than being a sponsored guy, what if I was a company guy?
Yeah.
And so I kind of went that way.
Yeah.
And then I found out, wow, I can help guys. And so I wanted to, you know, put stuff on my table, and then it turned into, what if we did a distribution? Because I'm still very much into skateboarding, and all these skateboard companies were starting,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like distribution companies, and I'm like, why doesn't BMX do that? So I think we were one of the first people to do that. In terms of independently, you had like System Cycle, you know.
No, but yeah, compared to anything else, then it felt like the first. I mean,
like in terms of the rider-owned sort of indie stuff, I was like, let's do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. We just started doing it, and then it was like, hey man, what if we just, you know, you just get a percentage. We'll keep track of everything we sell. You get it. Don't worry about it. I'll cover it. So then we started, like, our printer was printing everybody's stuff for it, you know. And it was
wow, yeah.
And, you know, people joked, oh, we had this empire and we had this thing. No, I gave away or blew, you know, I was never rich.
Yeah, yeah.
Contrary to what Jay Miron calling me rich boy, but yeah, that was just always, that was just always funny. But yeah, I mean, like, was friends with Trend and Tina, and loved that whole Austin crew, and John Yule used to sew our stuff, and then they started, you know, Greg started doing everybody's stuff because that's how Greg was, and but it just kind of grew out of that whole Texas became a thing and Austin became a thing.
It definitely did become a thing.
And,
I remember. I mean, I think we'll touch on all the videos that you've done a little later, but you know, just watch it. You know, all the videos started coming out. You know, kind of. I mean, I know Perrick had done videos before Homeless Trash, but once Homeless Trash hit, and it felt like things were really starting to roll out of that area after that. You know,
it was its own Austin was this amazing thing.
Yeah.
I mean, trend was amazing. The scene was amazing. It was so original. It was Texas. It wasn't anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and we were all just kind of doing our thing. And it was amazing because you were, you know, all these years you've seen stuff in, you know, we didn't grow up with clips on Instagram. We grew up with once a month you got a magazine. You had no idea how they got into it or if they even pulled it. But Austin and DFW were the first places all of a sudden you started seeing some of that.
Yeah.
And you started going, oh my word, you know.
And they were like sponsored. I mean, you had the homeless dudes, but then you had like a little earlier than that, who I think, and I don't know the Texas scene that well, but like Joel Alamo, you know, like, I feel like he was.
Oh, the first time you went to, the first time I saw Joel Alamo, you're just like,
oh, he's seen.
Or Greg Giat. I saw Greg Giat. He would randomly show up at a ramp, grab somebody's, I mean, he would grab like your cousin's Huffy.
Yeah.
And blast 12 feet. Yeah. And you were just like, he is legendary. I mean, he's like Goot, like you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Greg Giat, Joel Alamo, I don't think there's ever been a bad photo published of either of those dudes.
No.
They can make a bike look so good.
And they would just, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then you would see the flatland. And I think, for me, I think there was a lot of, and it might have been everywhere, but for me, it was like, you saw guys that, you know, we all wanted to ride some vert, ride some flat, ride some street. You know, it was everything.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of became, you know, like flatland got incorporated into street, and street got incorporated into ramp. And
I mean, John Yole that you were talking about is a good example of a dude who's really good at everything.
Yeah. And I mean, even, you know, a lot of those early, Ed Kenning was incredible.
Yeah, Ed is very, like, in BMX nowadays, I think Ed's name should be thrown around more for video parts.
He is the godfather, he is the godfather of that whole of street and nose manuals, and I mean...
I think he was the first person to do a bunny hop, like a full bunny hop bar spin down a set of stairs.
Yeah, he was just, I mean, every time hanging out with Ed was just like,
yeah, he's
it was great. We would like, we would just go and just make stuff up.
Yeah.
You know, like, what if you bar spun that? What if you jumped that? What if you, and very heavily skateboard influenced as well.
Yeah.
And so there was just always like what if you ollied that? I mean, bunny hop. I mean,
yeah.
What if you...
I mean, Ed, oh, man, when back then, I mean, if there was some new Ed footage, I was there for it. Like, I was so excited. Or if I knew, you know, like if there was an ad for a video in the magazine that had their names and Ed's was on it, I was like, oh, it's about to go down. I was so excited to just see new footage of him.
Yeah, and I remember, when I think Ed, I always hear Soul Man from his video part.
Yeah. Which video
but
part?
for me...
What is that?
500 miles, I think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
500 miles? But for me, that was always just like, that's him. He is I mean, you think in terms of, like, Matt is vert.
Yeah.
But I think, when I think street, I think Ed.
I mean, I wish more people...
Street and mini, but definitely, I mean, there's things that I would go someplace else and see something, and I'm like, oh, Ed did that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You went faster and bigger, but...
That epic curved rail he did in downtown L.A.
Yeah.
You know, which was so early to be doing a double peg like that. Yeah. You know,
like stuff like that, you were like... And we were just always like, what if we did that?
Yeah.
And it was like, you know... No, that's impossible. No, you can, you know, and that was pre-plastic thises and waxed thises, and it was just what if I just jumped on that?
Ed's riding like a homeless. I mean, in the 90s, he's riding a homeless or a king mainly, and then a standard, you know, like. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about, I mean, I've been fishing with it, but let's talk about King a little, because I know, you know, definitely a deep cut, but it's definitely people sweat King bikes. You know, Stuart King is, I mean,
One of the greatest bikes ever.
yeah, my buddy John. Well, actually, two of my good friends had them. I just didn't. You know, like when you really wanted a bike, but your bike was fine, so you just didn't get one. But my buddy John Bristol and my buddy Eric Walter both rode Kings, and John to this day still says it's one of his favorite bikes he's ever had.
I think to this day there are bikes that are still, when unbeknownst to even the guys that are building it,
Yeah,
they're trying to emulate that.
yeah,
I met Stuart through the UK guys would come over and they'd go to, you know, they'd holiday in the States
yeah.
and spend like a month, and met several of the guys that would come to Fort Worth, and was working with custom riders over in the UK to get some stuff distributed. But Stuart came with them. I think I can't remember if I first met him in the UK or him coming over.
Okay, yeah, he came over for a few of those. I remember for those early Hoffman Estate contests.
Yeah. But so they do like DFW and then go there. But I just was always just like, this kid is so good.
Yeah,
And just fun, just funny.
yeah.
I mean,
He was so new school. He was like just the epitome of what new school was at that time. It felt like to me, you know, like
Yeah, he was like the beginning of that. What's this next thing gonna be?
yeah,
You know, and he was right in there, and phenomenal kid, and I can't say enough good things about him. Stayed with his folks, and then he had his forks in his stem and his
the little washers.
little washer with the built-in chain tensioner.
Yeah.
Or a peg. I can't remember which came first.
I think it all came. Yeah, it was all you could put it together.
But I just remember going, this, you know, and it was, I mean, I'm not, in no way, like I never drew a king fork. That's all him. But just seeing the way his brain worked, I think we jived on a comedic level. We jived on just watching this guy go, he's doing things that I wish I could do on a bike. It wasn't, you know, it's like, it just, you know, you see certain photographers that you go, man, I can't take that good a picture, but I get it.
Yeah.
And I felt like I got him. And I was like, man, I'll give you whatever I got to give you. And then it turned it, and it was like the other guys. It was like, man, why don't we make this available in the States?
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, that's expensive, and doing this and doing that. And we're like, well, what if we get it made here? And I had some, I can't remember but we were doing some things like helping Lee Ramsdale with the useless brake bridge. And, you know, we were helping distribute some stuff like that. So we were trying to find people to help with the manufacturing part of it. And I think I got well connected in DFW with random things, from making stickers to number plates or in the industry, finding the right people, and I just wanted to pass that on. And so for me, it was like, man, I want people to know who this rider is, and then I want them to see the ideas, and I want them to come to fruition, and I just want to help make that into something.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'd brainstorm stuff, and we'd see stuff, and I'd get my, you know, maybe 5 or 10% of a comment in that may or may not affect things sometimes. But, you know, like, what if we did, you know, what if we just made it flat black? You know, I was the guy who was like, what about flat black? And, you know, and it just turned into this thing. And I think there was so much going on at the time. And not only was he's a very intelligent guy, he's very particular. Okay. And so he wanted things the way he wanted things. And so finding the right manufacturing and that was always you know.
Who ended up manufacturing that stuff in the States?
Dude, I still can't entirely remember we had the people. There was a company in DFW that was making pegs and the cone washer. That was the first thing, I think, was the cone washer.
Yeah. I remember getting those, and I was so excited. Those with a standard axle, you felt invincible.
Oh
You
yeah,
felt invincible.
they were game changer.
Yeah.
You know, everybody all of a sudden, all the big washers and big
Well,
cones
because
and
you were
all.
fighting memory on your dropouts back in the day.
Yeah, that was all. That was all.
It was gone.
That was a Stewart thing.
Yeah.
And then the King axle, and the material we used on the King axle, and the but all those little bits started with a DFW company
Okay.
that was willing to work it out, and then they were like, we can make the frames too, and you could not make the frame. You know, it was.
Yeah.
I think Austin Green, who did the infamous stair gap destruction, he was riding that frame for a while. He's probably the only person on the planet who could figure out how to ride that bike.
Okay.
It was so bad. And then the first big one I remember was a Boss.
Oh, the guys.
Jesse.
Yeah.
They were the first ones that actually got it going
Okay.
for us.
Yeah.
And then it turned into Caston.
Yeah, and they were doing a lot of dudes, but a lot of they ended up. I feel yeah, and I think SE had stopped kind of doing people's bikes at the time, and Caston had kind of stepped in.
Yeah. So I think there was a couple smaller ones in there in between.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember if Brew ever did anything.
Bo back east, yeah.
Yeah, but the big ones I remember are Boss and then Caston.
Yeah, those are legit.
But it was always like, I didn't have $100,000 to come in order. You didn't know how many.
Yeah.
You were just like, please give me a shot. I'll give you 25. Give me 25 frames. I know I can sell them. It's gonna cost. I'm gonna have to leverage everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll do it again. And finding people that would do that.
Yeah.
And that it would be up to Stewart's standards, and that it would be up to the riders, quality, and that was a huge learning curve.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, making bikes is not easy.
Yeah, it was crazy, and a lot of work went into that, and then and it became legendary. I mean, I think it's my favorite bike ever. I think it was so cutting edge to so many things. I mean, it was
very that frame.
It was the seed. It was the seed of Terrible One. It was the seed of Dave Mirra's Blammo. It was. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was
everything.
I remember when those guys got the bike. What was I riding at that time? Maybe I was riding like a homeless Mac 2.
Mm-hmm. And Solid did some.
Well, Solid got the jig.
Yeah.
So,
and they did their.
Aaron, which Aaron was involved with you. You know, I think you guys sponsored. Aaron was on Allied, right?
Yeah, and then we also distributed Solid stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was always relational for me. That was the best and the worst of it. Yeah. Because if stuff fell apart, man, it cut me to the core.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's the stuff you don't see. There was a few years where I left BMX because I just couldn't. I mean, I was like, I got nothing left in me. I'm broken over this.
Was that after Sandbox? Because I remember Sandbox rolled pretty big till what 90. I mean, how long did you run Did Mutiny run through Sandbox too?
Yes, it started there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at one point we had a shop, we had Sandbox, we started other brands, we were doing other people's brands for with them.
Yeah.
And it just grew and grew and grew, and then I think BMX started changing. And,
yeah. Like right there around like 99, 2000.
Yeah, between 97 and 2000, it just, like it got cool to be uncool.
I mean, I get, there's a whole thing where I see a lot of dudes, when you talk to dudes, so many people like romanticize mid school.
Yeah.
And I love mid school.
Yeah.
I go, mid school, there's a point where it got so negative too.
Yeah.
And it just got to, I remember just being in it, and you were like feeling like it was like a weird place, and like everybody's like,
yeah, all of a sudden it was like, if the big guys sucked,
Yeah.
And but it was like the big, like I got it if giant bikes came rolling in and flashing money around. It was like,
Yeah.
guys, it's almost like politics today. It's like, no, your eyes are on the wrong bad guys. you know,
I
the
just,
the guy who helped you get here is not the bad guy. The guy who took all your riders and funded that, that's the bad guy.
yeah.
And,
I just remember there was like always like, because I was always more of a freestyle guy, but I liked everything.
yeah.
But I just remember there was a point where like it felt like there's like a backlash on like pure freestyle guys. Oh, you got 4 pegs. Oh, you got a gyro.
It was just backlash in general just became a thing.
I think BMX just actually was so big at that time, it started eating itself a little.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, and it just got it was cool to be salty.
It was,
It
yes.
was and music, I mean, I get it. There's your favorite band when you're like, oh, they sold out.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, they just, at some point you go, I want to do this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you've got to play the game.
Yeah.
And so it got cool to bash the people that were playing the game. It got, and it just, it hurt. There was a lot of hurt.
Yeah, I believe it.
And just priorities. Like I said, it's always been relational for me. I always wanted to give back to things. I always wanted to, I have never and will never be rich off BMX.
I mean, it's pretty hard to get rich off BMX.
I did not wisely invest in real estate. I did not, I was, if somebody got a bag of free stuff from us, there's a really good chance that it was because another part of our group didn't.
Yeah.
And just always trying to it was always about, I mean, my wife jokes, she's like, we should have turned this into a motorcycle empire. We should have turned this into mountain bike. We should have turned, but we all at the same time you go, but that's not why we do it, and that's not what we're doing. And
it's always weird when you look at other industries too. People be like, well, they're doing this so good, or not like mountain biking's doing great right now. I don't
nothing
great. Yeah. But you're just like, it's weird because a lot of other like subcultures or like things that are like adjacent to BMX, like skateboarding, motocross, surfing, blah blah blah. So many of them are so much easier and feed into poser culture, and I'm not trying to be a hater right now, but so they can sell more stuff to people that are just trying to get that vibe. It is really hard to be a poser in BMX and not just get utterly just shamed, which those are the things that keep industries alive.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I remember I got into, I got away from more of the company BMX stuff, and I started doing some like nonprofit work, and I started doing stuff with a skate park, and I started doing stuff with things like that, and it was hard when you'd have like everybody roll to town for this contest that you had busted your butt for, and then when it was over, the hotel was like, you guys are never allowed back here.
Yeah.
And you were like,
yeah.
Because it's like, let's have a good time. You're like, yeah, but there's guys that.
Dude, I mean, kind of on that topic. I remember we were at Metro Jam in Toronto, and they premiered the McNeil video, and the theater was crazy, and somebody cut the movie theater screen with a knife during the whole thing. I think the 10-pack guys, Jay and the 10-pack guys got stuck with that bill. I don't even want to know how much that is.
Yeah, and it was always, in the midst of it, when somebody's stealing a bus or a cop car or things are going down, it's hilarious.
We know who we're talking about here.
But at the end of the day, when you're like, whew, how are we gonna, I have not sold enough t-shirts to cover that.
Yeah. I remember.
I can barely help you with your rent. I definitely can't get you out of jail.
Yeah. I bailed a few dudes out of jail, and I'm like, well, there goes the shop savings for a while.
Yeah, or it was one thing, I remember talking to, I remember the conversation with like Morgan Wade going, Morgan, you are incredible. You can never do a flare to disaster again. because you are destroying way too many parts.
Oh, I'm sure. I just saw a thing of him like at that Darty ditch jam trying to do a flare to wall ride. It was like
Still
25
going.
feet.
Still going.
And I'm just like,
I
Morgan.
I would put him up there with Ed Kenning.
I just am like, I know that. I mean, I don't know the exact age of Morgan, but I know he's like about 10 years younger than me. Which, when me 10 years ago, that's still a lot, like,
Yes.
and he was
My 40s. I thought my 40s were pretty okay as a rider, but not Morgan okay.
No, he's still would just pin the throttle and go at it, dude. I'm sure some of those young kids that might not even have a clue who he is now were like, who is this crazy old guy just going ham?
Yeah.
I like to see it, though. I love Morgan.
Morgan, Chad. I mean, Chad Kagi.
Oh,
incredible. And I always loved like guys who like watching, like Kagi became the big air master.
Yeah.
But, prior to that, it was like meet the kid who was really good on a jump box, and he was like, I think I can ride street too.
Yeah, he was that grind. He was just a grind. Not no hate, because I got so much love for NorCal dudes. He was just like that. He was such a NorCal kid, like
yeah.
He
That
was
whole
like,
scene was just like, let's do this, and we'll do it bigger, and we'll do it wilder, and we'll do it. Just all of that, in terms of just flat out riders, Stewart, King for sure, Dave Asado, to be in the presence of Dave Asado when he was kind of getting going, and Jason Enns, and those guys, you were just like, I'm watching the future of BMX.
That's how I felt the first time I saw Dave ride. When we were both 17, we were at a contest up here. It was in Nelson, Canada. It was my first ever contest. I just graduated high school. I quit my job at Wendy's to go. And we go up there, and you're like rolling in with your buddies, and we're like, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. We didn't really have ramps. We were just riding street and dirt jumps.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even peg stall yet, but I could do, like, I grew up with quarter pipes. I could air a quarter and stuff. Dude, Asado, this is 94, like, June of 94. He has a Kuwahara Magician Pro with all this stuff welded on it to keep it together. He does a wall ride, almost hits the ceiling of this warehouse, ends his run with a Canadian on an 8-foot quarter, which at the time you're like, whoa, that's sick, to full bar. Like, on a Kuwahara Magician. Like, and I remember just sitting there being like, thinking like, oh, I did some fakey wall rides like Brad Blanchard. Like, I was still living in 1991 with my BMX. And Dave was like, I'm pulling this into 1998.
And I think those guys, like, Jason has a huge love of the 80s. But I think there were so many of those guys, they were born into the beginning of something.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that like limitation or that blind. It was all like, what could we do with this versus it hasn't been done before. Yeah,
I think they grew up so disattached from things. I think Winnipeg is where they're from. They thought, and I think a lot of scenes do that. I even saw it in the Portland scene back in the day, but I think theirs was like supercharged. They thought you had to be this good to be a pro BMXer. Which, when they came out when they were amateur, you're like, you're better than all the pros. Like, you guys, I don't know what.
Well, it's like when Matt showed up on the scene,
exactly.
and people were like, okay, this is how you ride a quarter pipe, and he would like this, and you were like,
oh. Yeah, it's like the same thing where they just show up, like Dave was just like a very like soft-spoken. I remember he came up and asked.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Sean Yarrow. We were just like chatting, like he was at that contest, and he came up and asked us for tools, and he's just like very soft-spoken dude. And then later, I was like,
humble.
I was like, that dude is doing, because he walked up with his bike, and even at that time, you looked at the bike and you were like, and in the early '90s, people's bikes were just, it was like Mad Max.
I was just gonna say it was Mad Max.
It was Mad Max. Whatever to keep it running. And I remember looking at his bike.
You welded what to what?
Dude,
my bike. You do what with that?
Yeah, I'd already re-welded my frame. My bike was really bad at that time. And I was looking at his bike being like, I'm glad that's not my bike.
Yeah.
And then he won the contest. He just obliterated.
Well, I think you had the Kevin Jones, Matt Hoffman, Jay Miron, Dave Mira. Those were those bridge guys.
Yeah.
And then you had the next the gen of, you know, the Asados and the Ends and those, and they were also living in those bubbles, because like Kevin Jones came out of a nowhere bubble.
Yeah.
Because they thought this is what
Jay
they
came
thought
out of a nowhere
freestyle
bubble.
was. Jay came out of that. Well, they were the next of that. They were like, but they're seeing stuff like Jay and Matt.
Yeah.
So they go, oh, well, this is what we got to do. You know, you got to do a kinked rail if you're going to do a rail.
Yeah.
And you're like, no one's ever done. They're barely doing a rail.
Yeah. You're like, didn't you see the sequence? McCoy's wearing a full face doing a kick
Yeah.
rail. No one's doing these except for him, and he's the best bike rider right now. You know, like.
Yeah. And it was just all of that. And I think for me, it was crazy coming into the world of BMX, well, both racing and freestyle, to begin to meet those guys, and the magazine pages became real life,
Yeah.
and that was surreal, totally surreal.
I mean, you're starting to look and you're seeing stuff that your ads in magazines.
Yeah.
When did you change? What was the decision to change Poorboy into Allied? What was that kind of?
It never completely was like, I'm going to change this.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I want to do something different, and I wanted something a little more, honestly, I think it was a little more my skateboard influence. I wanted something a little more clean and a little less cartoony.
Yeah.
So for me, Allied was my outlet of more design oriented, more graphic oriented, more clean.
Yeah.
We did a lot of like, I to this day, I have an Allied messenger bag and backpack that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them.
Okay. Hey, I got that.
And-
I got a Dino duffel bag up there that still works.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's like they're brand new, because
Yeah.
I was like, let's make it this way. Like, let's turn elastic Poorboy pants into legit jeans. Let's turn, you know, it was like a side project for me with that.
Yeah.
And then Poorboy went through a whole bunch of stuff with name and legal stuff, and so I think I kind of leaned into Allied a little more during that, as kind of a, well, what if things have to drastically change on this end?
Was somebody like trying to give you a cease and desist or something with it, or?
Oh, yeah, the long story is there was a guy in California who had, you know, the story is that he had started it unbeknownst to, you know, but a lot of stuff with his was selling, especially internationally, people thinking it was us.
Oh, really?
And then he came in guns blazing with a lawyer to get us to stop. You know, but it was like, no, I started this first. This is me.
Yeah.
And I had a bad lawyer, and he had a better lawyer, and we took the brunt of it. But later, you know, you find out later about the back end of things, and how, you know, it's like, it was a friend of a family versus me. Who can I afford?
Yeah.
And that my guy got scared, and their guy act super LA lawyery, and it just turned into a nightmare. And so Poorboy became PB, and then that was just it's a whole can of worms.
Yeah. All right.
So a lot of times people are, you know, I still to this day, people are like, repop this, redo this, redo, and I'm like, man, you don't know the full story of it all.
Yeah.
As an artist, I think I've moved on.
Yeah, you're like, I don't need to rehash it, you know.
I don't, but also it's painful to go back to. But you know, I don't know. If I find myself living in my car, but with 4 kids and a wife, things might change.
Well,
But in my experience in BMX, for every 30 people that ask you to repop something, one of them's going to buy it.
yeah, dude,
Especially when you go, no, it costs more now, and I can't, you know, because I get people all the time, oh, they were the best shin guards, do the shin guards. And I was like, you know what? I would never sell enough shin guards to redo the shin guards.
I don't think people wear shin guards anymore.
Yeah.
Like
It's like,
insane.
you don't even, you're the same guy going, we didn't wear helmets in the 70s. And I always want to comment on them. I'm like, well, then you didn't ride. Or, you know, and like, I would so rock those shin guards to mow your lawn.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it from a lot of dudes that come in the shop. I mean, I've been helping Ron with the Wilkerson Airlines stuff, so there's always just dudes like, you know,
Yeah.
there's great dudes you're talking to, but then there's dudes that you were talking to a ton, and then you're like, okay, it's here. And then
Yep.
crickets, you know,
Yep.
like, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I've done little nods to things. I've done like 2.0 things. I've done like, you know, I did a one-footed table, and it was always one of my favorite old shirts. And I was like, what if that?
the
What
one
if?
that looks
What
like
if that?
Brad Blanchard, but it looks like
Yeah.
Murphy.
Yeah. I was like, what if? What if that guy grew up?
Yeah.
And so I did a new version of that. You know, and it's kind of a tip of the hat to stuff like
Yeah.
that. And, or I redid a recent one. I did like a little. I had done like a little sketch of a guy flatlining on a tricycle, because tricycles were always kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And so I did a new version. What if that guy grew up? And what if they, you know? So I like doing stuff like that.
Trying to remember, I have the Poorboy shirt. I have. I know the one that's by here is the "I'm not a stunt rider" one. The one with the guy with the
Yeah.
helmet. Yeah.
The Shaggy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He does look
Yeah.
like
So
Shaggy.
I did a newer version of that. I did like from just his waist up one day, and it said like, I'm still no stunt rider.
Nice.
And he was more like, you know, the dad at the skate park. But so I mean, I respect what I did before.
Yeah.
I want to give a tip of the hat, but you know, the guys that are like, I want a big circle Poorboy yellow logo, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I get it.
But then when, like, you know, oh, my brain. When the guy like club homeboy
Yeah.
and Valpo, I just totally. He has Lou's bike now. My brain
Shinglehead?
does not. Huh? Shinglehead.
Yeah.
Golly. So like when Shingle one day goes, just make it Club Poorboy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You've done a club Poorboy.
And I did it because it was kind of like, well, that's a nod to two things.
Yeah.
Old me, the love things, old me loved the whole, you know, and it came from him. And so I was like, yeah, let's do that. And that was fun. But
Yeah. You're like, he has Lumen's old bike, and I'm like, I have Lumen's old bike, and then I'm like, nope, he has the cooler one.
he has the Lumen bike.
Yeah. I have.
Yeah, meeting, like when I finally met him and realized he was an hour from me, I was like, yeah.
I think he was raced till a few years ago. A Portland guy, Jeff. Do you remember Jeff Tabachi, one of Daryl Young's like good buddies?
I know the name.
He invented the toboggan. There was a BMX action cover with him doing it, and there's a whole
Okay.
ride up in the back. But he lives out your guys' way and still races.
Huh.
So
Yeah, Barry's out here. Has a bike shop,
yeah.
McManus, and yeah, there's still guys here and around. And,
Yeah. Have you ever see a guy in a
know,
Goods jersey?
Yeah,
That's Jeff Tabachi. I sent him one.
And Bill Newman, Bill's down in Indy.
Yeah.
That guy still rides like he's 15.
No, there. I mean, that's always had a good scene out there. So.
Yeah, so yeah. So
One thing, let's do this right now because I've been trying to figure out. You made a lot of videos.
yeah.
You've made a lot of videos. I don't think people realize how many videos you've made. What videos have you made? I feel like the first one I can think of, and I feel like I'm not right. Was it Loose Change?
Loose Change was the very
Poorboy
first
Loose
thing I
Change.
made. I made that on multiple VCRs sitting on my living room floor.
Okay.
Just VHS tape clips.
And then was it 500
used
miles?
No. Heavy Metal Thunder.
That one's. I used to watch that so much. So yeah,
The Heavy Metal Thunder went up to, did that with the Props guys.
Okay.
We had become friends.
That was right around 94, wasn't it? 94, 95?
Maybe.
Yeah, feels like it.
Then 500 miles.
Yeah. And then did it go to Allied?
Then Allied came along and we did BMX Men.
Was that Allied or was that Poorboy still?
It was both.
Okay, but BMX Men, which, I mean, I love them all, but BMX Men, dude, the parts in that, like, a very overlooked Mike Escamilla part.
Yeah, that
Like,
the boy was crazy.
dude, the Davis Auto parts, insane. The decade Ice Pick, or Ice Pick 2 decade in, like it's.
Well, that trip was crazy because it was like, I mean, it was like 2 days.
Did you go? You
And
went up to Winnipeg for that?
yeah, and slept on a freezing cold floor.
Yeah, sure.
But man, Canada is the Texas of the North. Well, not Texas has gone wild, but I love Canada and all those riders up there. And
Oh,
those guys.
I mean, my wife's Canadian. I love all the.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still get friends who are like, move up here, move up here, move up.
It's so expensive up in Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're like, what do I do for work?
Yeah. So, but I just remember those 2 days were like, it was just constant, like, well, what if, and then first try.
Yeah.
You were like, I mean, there were times I think there's probably some things that didn't get filmed just because I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And,
So you got Allied.
and even weird things like Steve Roy does that flatland and then hook shots the basketball. It was just like those 2 days were just.
I just want to throw this out here. Steve Roy is my favorite flatlander of all time.
Steve Roy is the best. I would say my favorite travel buddies are Ed Kenning and Steve Roy.
Steve Roy is like the nicest human, one of the most stylish flatlanders. He had power and style all mixed in, and he had his own unique look when he rode flat. And
it was like, yeah, he was doing the old with the new and the new with the old. You were just like,
he looks so good riding a bike.
he just made it effortless.
Yeah.
And yeah.
500
I still one
miles.
of my favorite. He and I went to Japan.
Oh,
That's
wow.
one of my favorite all time trips ever.
That would be. I mean, dude. All those dudes are great, but that video is epic. Like, is that the one where Chad has the last part too? Chad Kagi,
Yes.
where he jumps off that.
No, that's Heroes and Mad Men.
That's Heroes and Mad Men. So that one kind of starts leaning a little more NorCal, doesn't it? Heroes and Mad Men. You got like Ryan Puckett, Aaron Huffpart, Chad Kagi.
Yeah. Things were, shifting, changing. Leaned into that. Then you have Throw Your Bike, which was kind of
Was that after that one?
somewhere. That was a lot of friends and bonus footage.
Okay, I don't think I ever
that was
saw
just
that.
like a labor of love, like Fort Worth people, and you'd go to NorCal to film Chad, but then you'd end up filming somebody else. And
How many? Did you ever sleep at the Ramp Club?
I don't think so.
Oh, I did. It was horrible. Sleeping there.
I think I slept at Changa, the old Changa.
Yeah, I never slept there. We stayed in a hotel across the street from there once, which probably would have been better just sleeping in the parking lot. It was so gross.
Yeah. Now the original Changa had all those like secret rooms and apartments underneath ramps.
I think Adam Banton lived there for a long time.
Oh yeah, and So I think for me, photography, video, I just loved it.
Yeah.
And probably more video than photography. Like photography, I was like, it's like trying to lean into a bunch of new stuff. I couldn't keep up with becoming a better photographer and videographer, and I'd rather just support some, and Brad McDonald. The guys were always so good about like, I got you.
Yeah, I like shooting photos more than video, but I ended up doing more video, which I think that got me on more trips because there was already better photographers on the trip than I was, like where it's like,
I just loved. I mean, I lugged around, you know, my camera bag was probably 50-50, and then more and more video. You know, I'd have a high 8 camera to, hey, film from over there, take this. I'm going to be over here with my VX 1000.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I loved just sitting in a dark room making a video forever. I think the props guys really helped push that in me.
Yeah.
Chris Rye was hugely instrumental. I mean, he's just a real creative guy anyway. So I think we were working on 500 miles, and he was like, you know, there was a lot of like Chris Rye pushing me out of the chair and taking me over.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved being able to document it. I loved being able to pass that on. I loved being able to do things like, actually, I just got a bunch of my old videos. Somebody sent me.
Oh, nice.
But then I loved putting things like, I think we were the first people to do a colored tape.
I do feel, well, Homeless Trash was green. Somewhere. All the ones I got were green.
Yeah, later on it was all green. Mine was black. But yeah, I mean, it was like one of...
My 500 miles was yellow. It might still
Yeah.
be. It's here somewhere.
Or like BMX Min's red.
Yeah.
But so I liked doing that. I liked doing the, you know, the covers and for me, that was always, it somehow was all like, it all came together.
Yeah.
Then we re-released Loose Change.
Oh, I forgot about Loot. So there's Loot. Geez.
This was the original Loose Change, which I have one somewhere, is like literally a VHS tape with a paper sticker on the side of it. This was, we re-released it, cleaned it up a little bit for what you could do. And then I'm a big nerd and Star Wars fan. We did that box set of our first 3 videos, and we did it like the trilogy, which, hey, if anybody ever has one of those, I do not have one.
I have one.
Yeah, I would love that.
Let me see if, well, I don't even know where it's at in here. I do have the first one. I got it because I just wanted to, and I couldn't rip it. I just wanted to rip it to have the originals to watch.
I still get guys, I feel so bad. I let the Austin guys down with when they did the 9th Street documentary. For like several years, they were like, send us your stuff, and I was like moving or couldn't find or couldn't.
Yeah.
And I still don't have a means to, like, I mean, I could probably do a YouTube channel if it was just throwing stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do is when I get a chance. The thing is my little mini DV VCR just kicked the bucket, so I had to send it in. And you in your head, you're like, oh, they'll fix it. And you're just like, oh, this is really, really old now. They have, you know, like the dude, I was like,
Stu just sent me, Stu came to man, so many people, they would come and like live with us for a week and do, you know, we'd ride and film and do stuff or go down to Austin. And Stu did Scum Lights Out at my house. And I was switching over to some new gear, and I gave him all my old gear. And he has since sent me pictures. He still has like the big Sony High 8, you know, super deck.
Oh wow!
You know, it was like as big as your desk just to just to do a high quality, you know. And he still has the little editing suite thing.
Oh, the little twisty knobs.
And I was always using like Peric's old crap or the Boy's old crap, or you know. I was always like just throwing things together. What other video we did? I did Loiter.
Oh,
Loiter
the
1 and 2,
video.
the Flatland ones, and those were I love Flatland and love watching the guys do it. And
I just saw that the other day when I was digging through trying to find videos, but I was like,
and
stuck that off to the side.
I tried to be weird with that one. Like I did like some stop animation, and I was just like, it was like, does anybody want a Flatland video? I do. And does anybody care that I just put an entire day making this puppet move around? No, but I did it and liked it, so I always try and, you know, like help somebody do their thing or get it done, or you know, we kept the duplicator pretty busy with everybody's videos, and we did a lot of distribution for T-shirts and videos.
Yeah, I remember seeing the ads.
We did a lot with props. We did a lot with but I wanted to get it out there, and I knew I could get it out there.
Yeah.
I knew how to get it out there. And some guys took it and ran with it. Some guys took advantage of it. Some guys didn't do nothing with it.
Yeah. Is there any videos we're missing? Because I know that we can jump into the Mutiny videos, but I feel like we haven't even really touched on the whole Mutiny thing.
I don't remember.
Well,
I think I tried to, just help with people and do things. And
yeah.
it was pre-YouTube and all that. So
Pre-YouTube is it feels like pre-automobile nowadays.
yeah.
Like,
but I remember doing stuff on my iMac, and I was like, no, I think this is going to be good, and we can do this. And people were like, you're doing it on a computer? So I would get, I remember Brad McDonald. We did a 500 miles screen grab ad of Ed Kenning, and we did a Poorboy one with Joe Rich, and guys were like, how did you do these screen grabs?
Yeah.
How did you do these? And
I remember for a minute in magazines they'd have screen grab sequences. Yeah.
It was all screenshot clips. And
yeah. You'd flip it, and you were good with it. You're like, give me more. I need to see more of where BMX is going.
Yeah, I wanted. Yeah, that was for me. That was just a whole world of creativity, and so we had some people. We had a warehouse, and we had people doing stuff, and that freed me up. I think video is where I found myself able to just keep doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We had some other guys who would draw some things, and we had some other guys that would do some, but that was where I felt like I could really get dirty. And I think, and we had props guys, and we had Chris Rye, and we had, eventually Joe Simon, and we had guys that would jump in and do all that. But yeah, it's nice. It's even in my own brain to remember, like, yeah, I did do some of that. I did. I did have good
videos,
ideas.
Those videos with my friends, they were a big, I can't tell you how many times we watched all those,
Yeah.
I think Heavy Metal Thunder, 500 Miles, and BMX Men are definitely the three just bangers that we would just, you would just put in. I could be making up, but I feel like Heavy Metal Thunder, the intro, and somebody does like a 3 table, and I can like picture it just.
I don't even remember.
I feel like it's from that Kansas contest too. That
could be.
That Kansas. I don't know.
That was
this
a weird
is me
contest.
being a sicko right now, but
Yeah.
So what made in all this tangle of everything? There was a point where King kind of faded out, and I think Stewart kind of faded out. Like he started going towards racing car.
Yeah,
or something.
he wanted to. He said, "I'm going to do this," and took it and went and did it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and he, took his geniusness to other places, and then I don't know, just kept doing my thing, and then I don't know what did you have a question?
Oh yeah. Well, what spawned Mutiny out of all that?
I think the difficulty of doing bike parts. I had a crash course, and wow, this is hard. And,
Yeah.
but I think I had people who knew me knew the extent of which I was part of things. I wasn't. I in no way take credit for Stewart's ideas or anything, but I had ideas.
Yeah.
He was the brilliance behind those designs.
Yeah.
But I still had things like how it was made, where it was made, what you could do. I was a big advocate for not blowing it up into, like when BMX was getting like heavier and heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
I remember just going I don't think we have to go that, so I wanted to be a voice and we were, so I had several friends that were just like, well, you should, you could always do a different company.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. And then, but then I think it always just kind of like ideas that I had or things that never got done or things that I wanted to do or, I just always there and wanted to do it. And more, whether it was shops or whether it was riders or whether, just people going, why not?
Yeah.
And I think it was on going to or from Interbike. And I was with, my other favorite travel buddy is Kevin Gentry.
Okay.
He and I were going to Interbike. And it was at some point on the plane ride or whatever. And I was like, if I ever did a bike company, part of what I'd want to do is I'd want it to be punk rock. I'd want it to be anti-corporate. I'd want it to be, I'd want it to be a little bit different than what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about Apple computers, and when Apple started, when they first started their first headquarters, they flew a pirate flag out front of it.
Okay.
And I was like, I would want to be the Apple of BMX.
Yeah.
Which led to going, a pirate flag, pirates, and like, pirate bikes is dumb. And
when you think of names, everything sounds horrible when you go through names for things.
Yeah, and so I think I've probably tended to push a little too hard on some things like that when I'm like, it's a little too meta or a little too weird. But I just remember going, Mutiny, Mutiny. It's going to be pirates, and it's going to be punk rock, and it's going to be everything going to be black, and everything's going to be, and then it went from a joke to, well, what if?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, what were some ideas I wanted to do that we never did? Like to make it lighter, like to make it, what are some things? And so that was what spawned it. And then I kicked it around, and then it was like, well, let's try this, or let's do this. And people were excited about it.
Yeah.
And riders were excited about it. And I think we had good ideas, and some good, some great, some stupid. I did I think one of the first things we did a 7/8 seat post on some of the first frames. Save weight.
Yeah, the 22 the old school style.
Yeah, it was like, well, we could slim this down, and we could slim this down, and I wanted to do a mid bottom bracket, but all the guys were like, no, you can't do that. It was like there were so many things that I was like, let's do this. And I was like, no, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
It is hard to get things to roll over, like when you
I remember the first time I was like, we should do a 22-inch BMX. And I think I even had that conversation with Moeller, and he was like, that's dumb. And now they're the king of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think McNeil, either than probably a race company or some one-off company, McNeil pushed out those, I think they're just the 22s or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember a dude by me, he was like 5'9", rode one, and I was always like, okay.
Yeah.
He's a trail guy.
Yeah, I was, I always wanted to do, I still have ideas, because people were like, still do it. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I throw around trying to do parts or something in my head. Dude, I've been really throwing that stuff around in my head a bunch lately, which you're like, oh, the bike industry's horrible. It would be great if I started putting money into it.
Yeah.
But I throw around
Well,
things.
so I think, and we just started, I can't remember what we started. I think it was, let's mess around with a frame. Again, I don't remember.
I mean, it's not like it was yesterday. I'm not going to fault you.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was just kind of like, let's ease into this and stuff. But, I wanted to make a strong bike with an original look that didn't weigh 1,000 pounds. I wanted to be like, let's start being the people taking it back out of this ridiculousness.
Yeah. But you guys did have a couple heavy bikes. But
it was a lot of like the first ones were super light, and people were like, people aren't going to want this.
I'm trying to remember the names of the bikes. I can totally see them.
We had the Soldier.
The Soldier, which was the one that had like the triple junction back here, like.
Soldier.
Was that the Soldier?
Well, that was the Soldier. Then we did the Undertaker, which was like a streamlined, like, didn't have the front gusset. It was more like trails and bigger.
Yeah.
And then, what was OJ's?
I had OJ's bike.
It wasn't a Soldier. It was a, I don't remember.
Some dude moved up here that worked for Nike that had OJ Juarez's bike. I bought it off of him, his Mutiny.
Yeah.
And then I sold it at one point where I needed money. And it was all just OJ's bike from, was it Throw Your Bike? Mutiny?
Probably.
It was
No.
it was his bike from one of the videos. That one part that was really overlooked because OJ Juarez was amazing.
Yeah.
But I sold it to one of the guys at Albies. And
Yeah, what was it? I don't remember. But yeah, so those were the 3 bikes, and then we did Joe Simon's Sinister,
yep. And Morgan had a frame too, right?
Morgan, and about that time, I think I was.
Did Danny get one right at the end or no?
No.
Okay. I just remember I filmed that props. You were still there when they did Mega Tour, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I went and I filmed that for. I was the filmer. That was a super fun trip with those dudes.
Yeah. That was fun times. I think all of those guys, Neil Harrington, Dan Poors, OJ, those guys were to this day, I think, very underrated. And
Yeah.
what they were doing, when they were doing it.
Yeah, OJ.
Walter Perringer.
Yeah, I mean Walter. I mean,
I
love Walter. He's like.
would love to reconnect with Walter.
Yeah, Walter's. He pops through here about every summer when he sees his mom up
Really?
in Washington. Yeah,
Tell him I said hello.
I will.
And I would love to chat sometime.
Okay, I'll let him know. But OJ Juarez and Dan Poors are definitely 2 dudes that I feel like are very underrated for the way they approach street riding and stuff there in the early 2000s.
Yeah. And both those guys were, I mean, they wouldn't say that about themselves. They were just doing their thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you ended up selling Mutiny to Joe?
To Joe and Gaz.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
Was that a point where you were just like, I'm stepping away from BMX and you just needed to...
I stepped away from Sandbox and all that. I kind of just said, you know, I feel like it went into other people's hands. Guy named Kevin Sukahara took over the shop, moved it to Denton. Now I think he's still at Amazon.
Okay.
There's so many guys that started with us that now moved on to do insane things.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody wants to give me kickbacks, I could use the money. I get the weirdest email, like messages from guys that are like, I'm a producer at, you know, the Science Channel, and you inspired me to. And right about the time you're like, what have I ever done to account for anything? And you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It is strange when you just see people that'll pop back in your life, like just me owning a bike shop. People come in and they're like, "Oh, I'm 35 now and I have 2 kids." I loved it when I used to come in your shop when I was like 13 and you guys were really cool. I'm like, you know, where I'm like, do you have your stuff together more than I do in life right now? And where you're like, what's going on?
So, I think a lot of that. I mean, the name change stuff and industry change. You know, in terms of attitude and what people wanted and when they wanted it. And full confession, I went to a pretty dark place for a year or 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't.
Well, that was about the time where BMX was having a big change. Like, I feel like that was the end of mid school. And I don't know what you want to call next, if it's like, but it was where the come up kind of came in and took over and just steered everything. You know, I'm not saying positive or negative because I don't need to get into that, but it was definitely the end of, you know, mid school and what a lot of us guys knew how BMX.
Yeah, I think we had our first kids after years of trying. We couldn't, and then all of a sudden we had twins. I was getting pulled in other directions outside of BMX, and I just kind of, you know, opened my hands to everything, and all of a sudden people wanted the shop or people wanted this, and I didn't make, I mean, most of the time it was like, hey, we've got $5,000 worth of orders coming from a factory. You cover that and buy and give me cost on inventory and it's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I was flipping $1 million companies or anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting any, whoever the umbrella parent companies of the mega bikes were never reaching out to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we were small enough that they would just take our idea and run.
Yeah.
So I held on to Mutiny, and I went back to like when I did anything. I was in my house with my wife and my kids, and I had a closet maybe as big as my closet now, and that was my passion, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to keep supporting the riders and keep making the videos and so that was the last thing I held on to. And then I moved to Missouri to be part of a non-for-profit and work with teenagers and do skate park, concert venues, stuff like that. But I took Mutiny with me and still kept doing it.
Yeah.
But I knew it needed more love.
Yeah.
And so when Joe and Gaz approached me, I was like, it makes sense. You should do it. And the Mutiny is still going and still has the same attitude and still has, amazing products and amazing riders and amazing people and still has that same, it's still Mutiny.
Yeah, no, it definitely still has the same.
And I'm so proud of that and so, love that for them. And
yeah. Well, nice. Well,
but so that was, but those videos, I think it was good. I finally stepped away from it on a positive note.
Yeah.
Feeling like I was this guy living in my car making t-shirts to being part of the wave of BMX in the 90s that, all of a sudden our stuff was on MTV and Jerry Springer and just stupid things.
Yeah.
And then, X Games and, and there's even part of that. There's parts of that when, like X Games blew up and I could have been part of all and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't want. And so it was nice to finish with Mutiny and kind of hand it on to some guys that I loved and that I knew loved it.
Yeah.
And then just step back for a while.
But now you've been.
I didn't even ride a bike for a couple years.
I mean, that's what from somebody looking on the outside in. I do remember kind of when you stepped away, because you were such a big piece of, BMX, especially with me in my 20s and stuff. Because I graduated in '94, so that's kind of right when you started. There was King and Poorboy was hitting its stride, the videos, and I remember when you stepped away. And you're, me being like a sicko BMX nerd, I was like, Steve's done a bunch. But then it seemed like a few years ago, all of a sudden you're popping back up. I'm seeing you do some art, and it seems like you're just having fun playing on your bike, just enjoying your bike. And
yeah, well, I got to a place where, it was a couple years of not riding at all, not BMX at all. Well, I was involved with like the non-profit in Joplin, Missouri, and doing that. But even then, I just kind of, I felt like that was kind of in hands, and I wanted to, and I stepped away from all that, and then, tried to make a go of being more of an adult. Or I don't know how it is. Focus on my family, focus on giving back to communities and kids, and moving where my heart was moving.
yeah.
But it was a few years into that when, like my wife and some good friends were like, "Are you happy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm happy with what I'm doing." And they're like, "But no, I mean, like, is the Steev part of you happy?"
Yeah.
And that did some soul searching and ended up getting, I think I got a mountain bike. And then I had gotten, Joe Prissel had sent me one of the first, remember like black market bikes?
Yeah.
When it was like that cruiser / mountain bike that eventually would become jump bike.
Yeah.
he rode for a company that did something like that, and I got one of their frames and put that together, and then I rode at the skate park, and then I was like, this is not going to work, and I got some stuff from you to build a 22,
Oh yeah.
and loved it. Still think 22 is definitely my jam, except for when you
22s are cool. They're
except for when you go try and like ride a little curb or ride
yeah,
a mellow
where
ramp.
you just like I just want to do a couple double peg rides or a feeble grind. You're like, oh, I got to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, you're like, I can't lean that far and do it though. Yeah, but in terms of jumping, I mean, it
It
got
slows
me
things
back.
down.
Yeah, and then that led to John was doing the lineage, and I got a sport, and I was messing around with flatland again because I wanted to do that. And
Yeah.
and then I was like, well, could I ride a 20 all the time again? You know, I'm riding it. So then I started riding the sport more, and then I got rid of my 22, but that was, I mean, like I even think 8, 9 to 10. That was probably like close to 12 years now.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like I've just steadily seen your face, and probably maybe just because social media, but I do know, like I feel like you're starting to do more artwork. You're kind of like, it just feels like you're kind of doing T-shirts and stuff again and doing artwork, and it just seems like might be just lighter on you now. You just I could be speaking out of turn.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I started drawing again. I started doing some just doodling again. You know, it was a couple things happened, but I think the biggest one that I remember like jolting me was Dave's passing.
Yeah.
And I drew a Dave Mira picture, and it was total like therapy for me. And then I just started drawing more, and I was going through vocational changes. You know, I was like, what I was doing, I walked away from one thing I was doing and into another, and that didn't work, and another that didn't work. And so there was all these things happening. So that was like I was painting and drawing and just doing stuff to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
And I think, and so and then it became like well, what if I could sell a couple things to offset some things?
Yeah.
And then I had more time because I didn't have this, and then it kind of just grew, and then I moved to Indiana again, trying to hold on to the reins of work again, and that didn't go well for a year, or went okay for a year, and then that completely changed. I got blindsided. But by that time, it had been like a handful of years that I had been kind of engaging online and engaging, and so I was like, well, I got this, and then I started, doing some other things, and then it became kind of like half of what I did, and then it became all of what I did, but never like right now I do 4 or 5 different jobs so that I can, some people might be like, oh, he's doing Poorboy again. I'm like, yeah, I make shirts. Sometimes it's a falls flat. Sometimes it's a.
I saw your. I've been excited just seeing where you go because you and I kind of have some similar interests, and I'll see you doing the T-shirts, but then you're doing like the little custom action figures. I saw the Crew Jones Airwalk ones that you're putting out with him with the hockey mask, and then
I did years back. I did an action figure that was like. Again, that was therapy art for me.
Yeah. But then I came, like, I think a year ago, we came and realized, you and I both kind of were into, and I'm sure there's plenty of dudes watching this. They're just into vintage toys, into just like.
Just 80s stuff and 80s toys and vintage toys.
Yeah, so I'll be watching some YouTube things or going through some Instagram, and then you'll pop up in that world. I'm like, whoa, there's Steve. In this world, and it just like it's fun for me to watch that because I just know how much fun it all is. I'm like, Steve's having fun with bikes, but he's letting himself have fun with this, and it just seems like it's all you're doing art with all
I've always been into the old toys. I mean, I'd go to man, for years I would be at a race, but I would make sure I hit flea markets,
Yeah.
and I would hit antique stores, and I had a huge Star Wars collection, and I ended up selling a lot of that off about the time that I went into those dark days I mentioned. I
Yeah.
was like just trying to put diapers on our twins and keep the company going.
Yeah.
I mean, I sold off so much crap that would be worth. I mean, I probably sold $100,000 worth of toys
Yeah.
for 10 grand because, you know, you take care of family, and I wanted to take care of, you know, give money to people I said I owed money to. And so pray hard and sell your Star Wars stuff. That's what I did for.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting. So I've always like had a little, like I've had the knowledge and the love and the passion. And then over the last few years, gotten more and more involved with that, or met people. And it's been real interesting to run into, you know, like a guy at a toy show who's like also into BMX.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, are you Poorboy Steve from? And you're like, yeah. Or guys from, you know, bike shows going, you like toys, right? You know, and that's been, and know that there's so many people who still had that. I mean, you know, Mulligan had a Star Wars collection, and
Yeah. And you and I have talked about, like, I'm a big G.I. Joe guy.
Yeah.
You know,
and
like
guys that we all loved it. I mean, we were still kind of holding on to stuff like that.
yeah, like it's just fun to see, and I enjoy seeing that. You know, you're like, oh, I've set up at, you know, one of the big. I wish, you know, some of the West Coast shows were as big as the vintage BMX.
I would love to get out for BMX and toys. I'd love to do East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard because you got to throw everything in a car. It's not like, you know, like Mike Miranda's like, come to Dirty Fest. I'm like, but I'd have to sell stuff. So sell stuff, but I have to drive to bring stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
We were those vintage races. We were gonna go to Dirty Fest this year. I usually roll with Cool Stuff, but just this year, you know, for everybody, it's just been a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then we went to Frogtown the years before, and it's I mean, I have so much fun racing, but then
I would absolutely love to make it out there. You know,
Yeah.
I got to hang out. Damien from Radical Rick came to the Buckeye Bike Show in June, which is a huge and awesome event.
that show, I would love to. That's the thing, is I see that show and I'm like, I would love to stick some of my bikes in a van and drive out there, but you're just like, whew, that is a drive.
It is, and you don't know, like, okay, what if you know, I don't. So many guys that go to a bike show and, you know, they put out their $5,000 bike,
Yeah.
and they have a full-time job or own a company, and I'm like, dude, I'm coming here hoping I sell enough shirts to pay for the hotel I had to get,
Yeah.
and it hasn't changed for me. It's the same.
Yeah.
But it's harder to sleep in your car. It's hard. You've got bills at home, you know. So I'm trying to be more selective about that. But I kind of fell into more of the toy world, and I love it. And I'll be 55 next month, and it was like when I turned 50, a switch flipped in my body, and I feel like I had a strong 40s of riding, and then all of a sudden it was like shoulder surgery. Another shoulder surgery. Yeah. I'm looking at a hip surgery next month. I've got a pain in my back that I can't get rid of.
I'm about to turn 50, and my Achilles for like the last 2 weeks has just been swollen for no reason.
Yeah, and I'm starting to like I love Vans. My feet are starting to go like, do you? You know? And you're like, well, I'll get the comfy cush. So I wear the squishy Vans. I still love.
No, I just got a pair of squishy Vans, and I hate myself for wearing them all the time.
You know, and I just got a box from Vans, and I'm like, they're like, what do you want? And I was like, soft stuff, please. And again, full disclosure, it's coming to winter, and I'm like, oh, I can put my boots back on.
Oh man.
But it's it gets harder and harder, and I still try and make myself, you know, once or twice a week go. I gotta at least pull something. I gotta at least. But then it's like 2 weeks to recover, or I feel the surgery, or you know, and you get to that place where you're like, you have to be consistently doing my yoga or consistently working out to get a day or two in.
Yeah.
And you lose it, you know. It's like I can gain I can gain 10 pounds in a day, and it takes me a month to lose it.
You're talking to me, dude. I've gotten so fat since COVID. It's insane. Like,
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, you're still thin and limber and all." I'm like, I'm the most I ever weighed. I'm the most out of shape I've ever been. I'm the most broken and pain ridden I've ever, and you hate it, and you really look at those days and you go, "Can I do this?"
yeah,
And there's something about it, and you're like, "Yeah, you can ride a bike." And you're like, "Yeah, but it's not BMX."
yeah.
You're like, "No, you can ride a bike." So I found some solace in the collector world
Yeah.
with my art and with just getting rid of some of my collection and making connections, and I've had both BMX and toy people both like, hey, it's okay to draw more than a bike.
Yeah.
It's okay to branch out with your art. It's okay to, and so that's been real encouraging, just as an artist. And in a toy world, I've probably had a little more, like I have friends that do comic books and friends that do, skate graphics and so my artistic circle has broadened.
Yeah.
And those guys have really, really pushed me on, you're an artist, be an artist.
Yeah.
Make what makes you happy, make what makes and really encouraging me in that.
Yeah.
So I have felt good about that kind of thing. But it's when I go to set up at a toy show to sell vintage toys, it's kind of like those days when I've had a shop, you've got a shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I gotta be that shop guy today, I gotta go hustle and make a living, but
I've been feeling it lately.
But I'd rather, go ride or draw. Or I've probably been less BMX creative this year,
Yeah.
but more.
Well, you got to do what's just keeping you happy,
Yeah,
I always,
it's juggling that what makes you happy and what pays the bills.
yeah. I mean, you guys seem like in the Midwest there, you guys have a good scene going for both. Like BMX has always been vibrant in the Midwest, but the vintage BMX scene, you guys have the biggest vintage shows. It looks like
We have some really big, and I think I was the first. I was like probably a year or two in before I realized, like the Crown Point show was an hour away, and it's huge.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Are you going to that?" And I was like, "No, I can't make it up to that, Chicago." And they're like, "You live an hour and a half from there." And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
And then you guys have crazy big vintage toy shows. I mean, the Midwest, like just for shows.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys just seem like it just.
There's a lot of stuff out here.
Yeah.
And so to be involved in all of that, that's a whole other animal. Like I haven't made action figures in a year because I've been going to so many things just to be part of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's fun
hard.
It's fun hunting old BMX parts or old just hunting down things and getting them. It's fun.
The thrill of that is I'm doing a show next week with it's like vintage vinyl, cassettes, toys, and it's called Thrill the Hunt, and you're like, yeah, Thrill the Hunt.
I used to do a vintage show out here, and we did it for a few years, and then I kind of got a little bummed because just some dudes start complaining about judging and stuff, and I want to do an indoor.
It can be a little dog show like sometimes.
I want to do an indoor show here, but have it to be like where it's focused on BMX, but it's more of still more of a swap meet, because the name I used for the vintage show was SOS, like the old Beastie Boys album, the Some Old Shit, and I was like, oh, this is such a good name, and it's like you could just bring in lots of fun things from all those eras.
I think, I get people all the time. They're like, you should do a thing where it's like, just bring all your passion, because guys who do retro clothes and toys and music, and just do a whole, all that craziness.
Just that whole vibe. I mean, it's
fun. It's weird and good and sad and when you're trying to reinvent, when you've been around long enough that you're trying to no, I want to stay engaged in this.
Well,
but I have to think differently, physically, mentally, financially. You gotta do what you gotta do, and
to keep yourself happy, you have to change things. I'm so passionate about BMX, but I know I can't ride like I used to. but I can still do lots of things in BMX. I mean, I still ride, you know, but it's like, you know, like, oh, I can go to the race and help with this stuff, or, you know, I can have fun building up a vintage BMX bike with one of my buddies. We can go on a trip together to track something down, and it still scratches all those itches you had when you were younger, you know?
Yeah, we had a crazy warm day on Friday, and I went and rode. I probably spent the most time riding I'd ridden in months, but just had a blast and absolutely hated it the next day. Every part of me that's not working was not working.
Yeah.
But I felt good, and I felt like, you know, I was like, yeah, we've got a new skate park here. I haven't even ridden it yet.
We've got, I think there's just one new one here, and it's actually been here for 2 years. I haven't hit it. I've hit some of the other ones.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm facing a hip surgery, and they're like, you're not going to be riding a bike for a while. Like,
are you getting a hip
cruise?
Replacement?
No, because apparently my bones are still good.
Okay.
And insurance is like, well, you can fix it, but you can't replace it. So, same thing in my shoulders. I've had my labrums repaired.
Yeah.
Which is like your socket
Yeah,
gasket. So apparently your hips have those too, and I have a torn one in my right. So you have much more muscles in your legs to kind of keep it, you know, like it's not coming out like my arm was doing.
Yeah.
But it clicks and catches, and all of a sudden feels like, you know, somebody drove a nail into my crotch every now and then.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I probably should fix it. So it'll be like in a walker for a month, and then don't lift anything up or pedal anything.
Go to one of the shows, start slinging some of your stuff in the walker, and everybody will feel bad. It'll be like, oh, we gotta buy some stuff from Steve.
It's one of the biggest bike shows. There are the big one that's up in Crown Point near Chicago.
Yeah.
Last year moved down to our town.
Oh, really?
And it blew up, and it was great. And they're actually coming back this year.
What's the name of that one? Is that the?
It's the Midwest Old School Show.
Okay.
People just called it Crown Point.
Okay.
But it's coming back to Lafayette this year. And then there's the big Hoosier Collecticon Froggy Flips toy show.
Yeah.
And they're both on the same weekend. And they are both about maybe the time they'll let me start lifting anything. So I'm going to go from like barely walking to trying to do 2 shows in 2 days.
You're going to need some help.
I'm like, hey, anybody want to help?
Yeah.
You want to help me carry some stuff?
I'm sure there's people out there that'll help you.
Yeah, but it's just the reality of age and what you can do and what you can't do.
You hate to say it, but it does suck, you know, like, but hey,
it is.
Look, you and I are both sitting here smiling, enjoying. I mean, we're doing good, so.
Yeah, getting old. Who is this? One of my BMX friends like, getting old ain't for sissies.
No, it's not.
But keep on keeping on.
I got a couple questions for you, and then I think there's a couple questions in the Instagram too.
Okay.
I'm trying to like roll these things down with like just a couple, you know, generic questions, but I think I know the answer to this. But what's your favorite bike that you've ever owned?
Ever?
Yeah. What's your number one bike? If you look back at all your bikes and you're like, and don't say it's that King that I sent you, because I know that's not it.
It would be hard to boil it down to one. I have my eras.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna think you were gonna say like the '84 Master or whatever.
85 Master.
85, yeah.
Would be my go-to. And then, yeah.
I thought it'd be that, or you'd probably bring up maybe like a early '90s like race bike / street bike or something you had.
I had a Haro Group 1 that I loved.
They ride good. An early '90s one.
Yeah.
My buddy Anthony, he rides one that we built up for him for Frogtown. He's a little older than you.
Yeah, I wanted one of the Lineage ones, but I never was. I slept on it, and now you can't get them.
I get on his bike, and it feels almost normal, except you can tell it's got like a 73.5 head tube or something. Yeah, but
I think
ride
that.
pretty good.
I mean, I loved. I mean, I had one of the first Condors that was amazing. A Holmes, I would say, a S&M Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good go-to.
That was probably the one that, if I was ever between things,
Yeah.
you know, I had an STA that I loved. A King for sure, because of just what it was.
Yeah.
If I had to, like, I had one of the first Mutinies that I really, really, really loved.
Yeah.
It was the first, like, I put a front brake back on it, and I had 4 pegs on it, but it weighed less than most any other mid-school bike I'd ever had, and
Nice.
I think I had some of our first titanium pegs that we did, and just stuff like that. But I liked that bike a lot. I like that. Felt like going into my 30s. I had I caught up on tricks, you know, like all of a sudden I was doing, I could do some bar spins, and I could do some wall taps, and I could do, you know, I was like, oh wow, I can ride again. You know? And then the next time that happened was an S&M ATF 22-inch.
Okay. Yeah, there are those bikes you get that do breathe life back into you.
Yeah, and that breathed life back into me, but 85 Master would be my, if you said what's BMX, I'd say 85 Master.
Okay. What's if you're thinking of BMX events you've been to, contest or just jams, what's the one that stands out to you the most or the funnest you've had it?
Again, ever?
Yeah. I know you've been to some epic ones.
I don't even remember. The BS Comp series?
I mean, yeah. Kansas City, which one?
We had Jeff Phillips. The first one was...
That one looked epic.
That was amazing, because that was like our home park. And
well, it just was such a cool time, because you still were bringing in some people that
Matt showed up with the first Hoffman bikes.
Yeah.
To that.
But you were still, it was still hadn't been like a full changing of the guard. There were still a lot of like the 80s dudes there.
Yeah. Rick showed up, I think the standard, like with a couple standards.
Yeah.
But most everybody was like standard stickers on their bike.
There were still like the standard dudes riding the Haros and stuff, you know. Sorry for these hard-hitting questions.
Well, it's just hard trying to rack my concussion-ridden brain.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't remember like which one. You know, like I remember the Hoffman Estates BS contests. Those I would say
those seem
probably the one. The mega ramp in particular one.
You were at the first high air.
Yeah.
What was that?
But I'd been there for like when he had the half pipe and when he had the quarter. You know,
well,
I mean,
what was that like when you were there? What was it like when you rolled up to that contest and you saw that quarter pipe? Because people didn't know about that thing. I mean, I learned from it from a magazine. What was it like when you rolled up to the contest and you saw the quarter pipe?
I think we saw it. I think I saw it before that.
Okay.
But seeing people see that.
Were people just freaking out?
Oh yeah.
Like,
and people didn't want to go near it. Like, you would pedal your balls off at that thing, and get if you got into the H, you were lucky.
Yeah.
And so to say, oh, I felt a little bit of the tingle, and then to know, I don't know what it's like to be pulled by a motorcycle and go.
How was the energy around that? Like when Matt came out, like was that after the contest? Matt and Steve came out with the motorcycle, or
it was during it.
Like
there was like a break between.
Okay. And just did people just start? I mean, it feels like the energy would just be insane. Like especially
I'm
early
sure
90s.
Oklahoma has earthquakes. I'm sure that caused one.
Dude, yeah. The thing that always sticks in my head is it's one of the Baco videos. And I think Chris Rye's filming on the deck while Matt's airing. And Mira and Volker are standing there. And Volker is like freaking out. And he's like, says something like, "You'd never catch me trying to do this," you know, and like takes off down the ramp. Like he's just like so.
It was stupid.
It's just overly stoked, hyped, freaking out. But you're like, if Dave Volker, the king of quarter pipes, And one of the gnarliest dudes ever is freaked out by this.
Well, if you've ridden it, I mean, like I got to ride it a couple times, and you ride it, and you go, yeah, okay, proportionately, it's just a big ramp.
Yeah.
But to have the cojones to do what it takes to do the big ramp.
Yeah.
You know, I saw Matt with his, when he had the motor on the bike and the half pipe.
Yeah, the where he lost his spleen.
I think that was more like, what?
I'm sure that bike probably weighed like 55 pounds.
Oh, it was dumb. But, but like going up there and riding, I remember a session with, I think it was Brian Foster on the Ninja ramp inside one night.
Yeah. Brian, that's crazy thinking about Brian Foster.
Yeah, and we were both like, he was trying to figure out riding vert, and he was trying to make me go higher. Yeah. Definitely the highest I've ever been on vert is riding that ramp because it was like the perfect ramp.
It looked. What was it? Was it just a 10-foot ramp?
No, it was like 11 or 12. I don't remember. It was a big ramp with vert.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably did 7 feet.
Yeah.
Brian was probably pushing 8 or 9.
Yeah, I've seen Brian ride vert. He can definitely ride vert.
But at that point, he wasn't really.
Yeah.
And so I remember just riding that. But yeah, that was amazing. But I would say, yeah, it would have to be that contest where people were coming in from California and Canada, and there was a little bit of a, oh my word, this is crazy, / felt like familiar because I'd been there.
Yeah.
/ just like the world changed that weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
the BMX world changed that weekend.
Yeah.
Now there's other contests and other races and other things, and it's hard. Like I can't remember which go-kart thing we got kicked out of was at which event.
Yeah.
And which nightclub where the fire broke out was at which race, or you know, you can't,
or who stole the cop car.
Huh?
Or who stole the cop car.
Or who stole the cop car. or who, yeah, you can't, you're like, or the short bus.
Yeah.
Or the where were you last night? You don't want to know.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the things, I have several things that I filmed that will never see the light of day because I was robbed at gunpoint and all my video gear was stolen, and whoever those hood rats were that threw it all away will never know the epicness that was lost.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I remember I went and filmed with Miran in Dallas, and he did a huge kink rail, and he did a gap to kink rail before his video part where he did that,
wow.
Jumped. He did that, and I remember him going, "Hey, you still got that?" And I was like, Jay's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Because it was like a random.
Jay, back then, you were just like,
Yeah, it was like, oh man. But I mean, I had some craziness that will never see the light of day.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Last one, your favorite pro.
Oh, no, I can't.
You won't answer it?
That. No.
Okay. Well then, let me hit you up with these ones.
I could probably do. I mean, I could throw anybody who ever rode for any of us, my companies.
Okay, that works
amazing.
for me. That works.
Was amazing. Ron Wilkerson, old school.
Yeah, Ron's one of mine.
And Matt Hoffman, mid school.
Yeah.
But man, it's just so many for so many various reasons.
I mean, if somebody asked me the question, I'd be coming up. I'd be going too. So, all right, I got a couple Instagram questions. Santana, you're familiar with him?
El Paso.
He just wants you to tell us about the vibrant El Paso scene in the late '80s and the parking lot jams at Big 8.
El Paso was amazing because they built all these ditches. There were ditches everywhere. Because like once or twice a year, it would rain.
Yeah.
And the runoff would wreck the city. So they built all these ditches and drainage.
Yeah.
That were dry 95% of the year. So there was epic. I mean, we would, like there's whole Instagram channels now about DIY skate
Yeah,
building ramp. You know, we did that. I mean, we were dragging parking blocks, and yeah, it was just great. You just rode. I mean, we would ride. At one point, I was riding my BMX to high school. My dad, we were there stationed. We moved. I came back. I wanted to be with my friends, so I wanted to be with the high school. A buddy of mine was like, I'll give you a ride. About halfway through the year, he was like, this is dumb. I hate getting up early. So I had to start riding my bike.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was like 10 miles every morning and night. But we had wall rides, trails, everything along the way.
Nice.
Just a great scene. I still talk to a few of the El Paso guys. And then I would go back for races. There was the big Desert Downs would have a like national ABA. So anytime I could go back there, I'd go back there. And it was just like an unsung, like, I don't know. You had a mix of like the military, the white trash, the Latino. I mean, I just loved it. I loved it. I love everything but the wind and the dirt there.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the wind being bad.
But the ditches and the street riding and the sand was hard because you didn't have water to keep it together. But lots and lots of fly-out jumps.
Hey, that
Like SoCal fly-out,
yeah,
old 80s fly-out.
We had some good fly-outs growing up.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Wade Nelson.
About his coaster break that he won't shut up about.
He wants to know about... If Wade gets you something, you better keep him informed.
It's sitting here at my feet, Wade. and it has not been put into a mag yet. My intention was to build up my the Bob Harrow anniversary bike.
Yeah.
And to put it in that. It's a coaster. It's a 9.2 coaster that should work inside of the cassette coaster. So one day I'll do that. I'll probably the same day I have a kick turn ramp.
All right. Wade wants to know. I mean,
I know. Wade is a pit bull about that.
Wade is one of the current kings of coaster breaks. So
yeah.
I mean, I rode with Wade this summer, and he was still just ripping, dude.
He gives me the best. If it's possible to give a hug via a direct message, I get the best ones.
Wade hugs are pretty good. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're winding down. Do you want to maybe let people know where they can follow you on all the socials, and if there's anybody you want to thank or anything?
Poorboy Steev, Steev. Because I don't know how to spell.
Yeah, 2 E's.
Poorboy Steev, Instagram, Facebook, email. It has been me and will probably always be me.
All right.
PoorboySteev.com is where you can find my art and creations and T-shirts and
stickers, action figures.
Yeah, whatever I've got made, I'll put it there. I probably am most active on Instagram. I have a love-hate with social media.
Yeah.
I love the relationships. I hate what it's becoming.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's like I was literally looking for something today. When you shared, hey, we're going to be doing this, I was like, oh, I think that was like one of maybe 3 actual BMX posts in my feed.
Yeah.
It was just stupid. But yeah, you can find me there. Thank anybody who's ever given me a couch to sleep on, anybody who's ever bought a shirt from me, every rider who's, given me a shot or a shout out or man, I would fail to mention them all. I mean, both UK, Japan, guys I still have my best relationships with have come through BMX, and I don't know.
Okay.
I would shout out to the old guys that are feeling like I can't do this. It's like, don't beat yourself up and just do what you can do. If that means ride a cruiser around your block or just support a kid that does it, do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in you. Like, I feel more punk rock than I've ever been. I probably feel more BMX than I've ever been, even though I'm probably able to do less and less of it.
Yeah, I try to tell when old dudes come in the shop and they talk about, oh, I want to get a bike, but I go, dude, when you get to a certain age, I go, just try to make your bike riding like it was when you were 12. And I go, when I was 12, I was riding down the street, just jumping off curbs, doing little tire slides, maybe going to 7-Eleven, getting a Slurpee, some nachos. I go,
It's still the same. Like,
go, you
I'll
can-
post.
you
Yeah.
can do the same thing. You could just go to the bar or go do. You can just enjoy the simplicity of your BMX bike.
Yeah, I jump on. I've got a Fairdale Nomad that I ride around my neighborhood and I can go to the pub, I can go to the grocery store, I can go to the post office, and I get on that and I go ride. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this is the only bike you've ridden this month. And you're like, yeah, but you're smiling,
Yeah.
and I like to share stuff. Like on my Instagram, I'll do little like pedaling and pontificating every now and then. And that's usually always on my Fairdale.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that smile. You'll smile, get on whatever it is, and do it however you can still manage to do it. I know how it is. You watch the video, or you go to the new park, and you're like, I suck.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's just not your time of your life.
Just go do a skid through some leaves and you'll be hyped.
Yeah, just get on and go, or do whatever. I do that. It always hits me, some of the most creative, cutting edge guys, and so many of the people we've lost to the darkness over the years, that always hits me. So I always want to say, hey guys, if you're ever just feeling like, hey, reach out. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not less punk rock to send a text to Steve or Shad and say, dude, my life's hard right now. Let's cut back on losing one another and keep in touch with one another and
Yeah.
support one another. And
Yeah. Reach out to the homies. Keep riding.
keep riding, keep connected,
Stay connected.
keep creating, stay connected, and create in
Yeah.
whatever your realm of creating is,
It keeps you going. So
and pass it on.
yeah.
Be a positive light for others, and in a crazy world right now.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve.
I really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, dude,
and
I'm just hyped.
I always enjoy getting to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I'm just always hyped to just talk BMX and learn more about BMX. I mean, that's why I do the podcast, is just to learn more.
Yeah.
So
Keep it up. Whenever I'm in the mood to watch like videos, I go to your channel.
well, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for keeping that alive.
I appreciate you.